Just be true to your heart. That's where the heavens will part. And baby, shower you with my love. Open your eyes. Your heart can tell you no lies. And when you're true to your heart, I know it's gonna lead you straight to me.
A Disney logo that gets in and out in 13 seconds. It's hard to believe it ever existed. The sin is for how hard it is to remember it existing, FYI.
It's as I've been saying for the longest time. CinemaSins doesn't know how to begin a video without bitching about logos. This also touches on the people that come here to say it's because the logos are too long, because this logo is only 13 seconds. This also demonstrates that CinemaSins loves to give movies sins for something they didn't actually do. Guess how many sins we're going to give them for all of that? That's right.
Ooh, it's a Rorschach test. I see a poodle.
Making fun of the Great Wall, I see. Guess who just got censored in China by Xi Jinping?
Mulan rips off the LOTR movies before those movies are even in development. I guess they technically ripped off the LOTR books.
You're aware that the story of Hua Mulan is centuries older than The Lord of the Rings, right? Right?
In case the glowing yellow eyes, dark hood, and asshole bird confuse you, this guy has fangs. This is for sure the bad guy cliché.
Except I'm almost sure that having an asshole bird on your side makes you the good guy. Just ask my subscribers.
The Huns have crossed our northern border.
Impossible! No one can get through the Great Wall!
Not believing what you're told because of folklore.
That isn't really folklore, though. The original Great Wall was purposefully built to prevent invaders, and it did a damn good job of it. In fact, it did its job so well, only one leader was able to successfully breach the wall in nearly 3,000 years. Genghis Khan. They have a tangible reason to believe this, is what I'm saying.
Forgive me, Your Majesty, but I believe my troops can stop him.
A single grain of rice can tip the scale.
Even super inexperienced rice that might get others killed through naivete or incompetence?
Yes, that's what that metaphor means.
As cute as it may be, tying a punctured feed bag to a hyperdog and letting him into the chicken yard is not an efficient way to feed your chickens.
Personally, the cartoon CinemaSins episodes are particularly annoying because Jeremy and his writers take them literally instead of the fantasy that they are. Who the hell cares if this isn't efficient? The whole point of this scene is because Mulan is lazy. I mean, what's next? You're going to tell me that dragons and spirits aren't real? Thank you, Mr. Holmes, but you and Watson can sit this one out.
God damn, this horse saw our Sins video for Mary Poppins and said, "You think that's a fat horse? Check this out," because this is easily 3 horse torsos smashed together like deli turkey breasts sitting atop 2. I mean, yes, this is a cartoon, and that is super unrealistic in many ways, but these human-powered carts are traveling at a blistering speed.
Blistering speed, he says. Blistering.
I'm here.
Me and my triple wide horse are here.
It's non-problems like these that placate the Kool-Aid drinkers who believe CinemaSins is a parody and satirical channel. I wouldn't have a problem with sins like these if they didn't put these directly next to actual problems with these films, with no clear distinction between the two. Therefore, this is a sin for you providing the Kool-Aid, spiking it, and sending your teenage daughters over here with no supervision.
The lyrics here are, "We're going to turn this sow's ear into a silk purse," and rather than be offended on Mulan's behalf, I'm going to applaud anyone who can turn an ear into a silk purse. That is some next level Rumpelstiltskin right there.
I like this thing, so here's a sin.
This entire song and segment is about making Mulan pretty enough for men, and while the movie ultimately is going to defy this ideology, I'm still sinning this super sexist song for existing.
Alright, I'm wading into treacherous waters here, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. This isn't an example of sexism because the ideas here are presented by people who willfully subscribe to them. What I'm saying is, it's actually sexist for a man to tell a woman that she can't be pretty for a man if that's what she wants to do. These women dolling Mulan up are obviously these kinds of women, and Mulan isn't necessarily opposed to these ideas, although she is more of a tomboy. Ultimately, my point is that radical feminists and SJWs like to pretend that any woman that wants to do something for the benefit of a man is internalizing misogyny, and it's just not that simple.
As these women sing, I can't help but wonder how dressmaker Lolly Lou is keeping those pins in her mouth. She's pierced her lips, hasn't she? Jesus.
Is Jeremy just unaware that every single tailor ever has done and continue to do this?
Too skinny.
Body shaming.
Because there are way too many, let's drop 20 cents for all the revisionist SJWisms Jeremy pulls throughout the rest of this video and skip the rest, shall we?
Also, this is like trusting a bunch of rich white dudes to pick the next pope.
See?
I mean, damn, that is one amazing makeup wipe. Does Mulan know how much money she could make if she marketed this? One swipe makeup remover. So powerful, so advanced that the makeup is Mulan.
Even I'm not entirely sure if this is a joke or not, but I'm pretty sure in the Ming Dynasty they didn't have KKW beauty. You know, the makeup designed to stick to a horse's ass, a Kardashian's face.
She sings, "When Will My Reflection Show?" while her reflection is showing in about 9 of these tombstone 10 commandment stones.
It does not surprise me that CinemaSins would completely miss the subtext of Mulan singing this banger and having her see her reflections at the same time. The song Reflection is very specifically about the world seeing her reflection, meaning she wants her people to see who she really is and not who she's pretending to be to make them feel better. The point is that she sees who she is, but others do not.
This is where she chose to sleep during a rainstorm.
It's almost like she's really upset and doesn't give a f*** about the rain.
Ancestors, hear our prayer. Watch over Mulan.
They sure trust in these ancestors, and so far, I gotta say, they've not done much. I mean, I think Mulan is pretty great. She jumps on posts and doesn't pour tea well, which I can relate to. But I'm getting the vibe that she's basically a up in her society, and her ancestors would know that. So what is their motivation for helping her?
All you have to do is continue playing the movie and they will tell you why they're retrieving Mulan. And I'm not going to do that because I don't want Disney to stick a copyright claim up my ass. The gist is that most, but not all of the ancestors do believe that Mulan is a black sheep, but she is still family, and they must retrieve her before she dishonors them. That's their motivation.
No one will be seated during the scene where a bunch of ghosts argue over who owns the rights to Mulan.
And this is precisely the scene that I was referring to, the one that explicitly answers Jeremy's previous question.
Your misguidance led Fontaine to disaster.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, now I have questions. If the ghosts of the ancestors show the gory way in which they died, does that mean that Mr. No-Head here is the only family member to die a tragic death? Everyone else seems whole and elderly. Surely someone died in a funky way, and I demand to see a ghost who choked on a dumpling.
But you have answered your own question here. Since the movie shows the way in which these ancestors died, this means most of them grew old and died of old age. This isn't abnormal at all.
This eagle isn't saving all the heroes right now.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin in the movie cliche.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
By building his wall, he challenged my strength.
This is the global politics version of she blocked me on Twitter, so she must want me to keep pursuing her.
If you can't see the distinction between these two concepts, I'd have to suggest that all those college ex-girlfriend jokes should be seen in a whole new light.
Who am I fooling?
I mean, you haven't met anyone yet, so technically nobody, but with zero effort to fool anyone yet, your discouragement over the ruse is premature.
Except the part of this scene you cut out shows exactly why she would be discouraged.
Where do I sign in? Ha, I see you have a sword. I have one too. They're very manly and tough.
I'm working on it.
Because if the army finds out you're a girl, the penalty is death!
That's racist.
While I do agree that this is a harsh penalty, it does make sense to keep most women off the front lines of an army, especially in a time where the great equalizer of gunpowder wasn't as widespread. If your enemy is made up of men, you do not want to be sending women out there to physically fight them.
They're disgusting.
Men, in general, are not disgusting.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, bud. Men or women, which of the two would you consider more disgusting? I'd say men. I mean, have you seen Jackass? Now, where this conversation gets interesting is the women's restroom, because that shit is a snuff film disguised as a horror show.
Punch him is how men say hello. Oh, yow. You made a friend.
The girls in the audience may be thinking, girl power, but the boys in the audience are getting all sorts of up messages on this one.
I'm pretty sure in 1998, most boys and girls were just laughing at these scenes and not applying socio-political meanings to them. It's called being a kid, something more and more rare these days.
I've got a name. And it's a boy's name, too.
Super giant red flag is basically not noticed by anyone that should have noticed it.
Obviously, the red flag you're referring to is her being a female, but because that occurrence was basically non-existent, the actual red flag they'd have noticed is that Mulan is just a weird dude.
He sings, "Mister, I'll make a man out of you," and good luck.
Doesn't he succeed, though, considering Mulan becomes one of the toughest dudes in the group?
Mushu is a filthy cheater.
You have to show the context of what you're replying to, though. Otherwise, no one knows what you're referring to when you just say things. This is the problem with the majority of your sins. You take things out of context and treat those out of context things as sins. You're not wrong in this particular instance, but the concept is what I'm sinning you for.
White horsehair.
Imperial stallions.
Or an elderly person? A white goat?
You'd think warriors that spend a majority of their time on horses would know the difference between horse and goat fur. But not if you're CinemaSins, you wouldn't.
Bruce Almighty Moon in the house, y'all.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a
Stand watch, Mushu, while I blow our secret with my stupid girly habits.
Hygiene.
Since when is hygiene a girly thing as opposed to just a cleanliness thing?
Here is yet another instance of Jeremy ignoring scenes that explains questions he has. Earlier, he said this.
Training montage, but how did she manage to conceal peeing or being on her menstruation cycle? And sure, maybe she was training in that perfect window of time where she didn't have to worry about her period. But I have it on good authority that periods tend to start at the worst time. So for sure, she would have started and it would have been just as she kicks him in the face.
But I guess when you write sins as you're watching a movie and are too lazy to revise them as new information becomes available, you gain 9 million subscribers. Huh.
How about that?
I never want to see a naked man again.
My college girlfriend said the same thing to me after our first time, but she was being sarcastic, right?
Like I said, y'all might want to take a closer look at that blocked on Twitter comment.
I mean, I understand that we need to move the story along, but this Chien Po character straight up rolled a natural 20 on a perception check to spot the dead general.
Yes, Jeremy, you're starting to understand why a general's helmet might be different. Now, let's work on counting. 1, 2...
As she goes to place the doll in the snow, and the army moves to race and protect the Imperial City, I have to wonder why no one shed a single tear over the total decimation of the entire Imperial Army, including the captain's father. Some sad music played, they all stared, but no one actually got sad, and it troubles me deeply.
One thing you must do as a soldier is put your emotion in your back pocket while you're on the job. The best thing you can do for your brothers and sisters in arms is keep yourself focused and composed. It saves lives.
These are the most conveniently stormtrooper-like arrows ever. Mushu is a god.
I mean, he kinda is.
Well, the Huns have the high ground, so I hope your heroes peace out and live to fight another day just like Anakin did.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a cinema.
Man, you are one lucky bug.
No f***ing This movie's working title was Luck All Around.
He's literally a lucky cricket. That's the f***ing point.
How the f*** do you swim out of an avalanche on horseback? This is some kind of all-timer insult to science right here. Jesus H. Benjamin Fancy Pants McGee. That isn't water.
You gotta love the irony of Jeremy saying something is an insult to science and then in the same breath state that ice isn't water.
You're king of the mountain.
This gives me flashbacks. In elementary school,
Skip.
A woman. Treacherous snake.
Those things are not synonymous, even in these ancient times.
I'm fairly certain he's saying lying and infiltrating an army makes her a snake, dude.
Also, eat the horse, y'all. Or at least the dragon.
Eat your pet, which is also your only mode of transportation in a winter wasteland with killer Huns on the loose. CinemaSins, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you see those Huns? They popped out of the snow! Like daisies!
Mushu would be fabulous at CinemaSins.
You mean an annoying loudmouth that nobody wants around and we only tolerate because no one else is here?
They'll never reach the Emperor in time.
Yeah, you better go get them. Find costumes that fit perfectly, apply makeup, and be sure the scarves will bear your weight as you scale the columns, because this will be much faster than battering down a door with a massive statue.
I think CinemaSins forgets that movies like this are meant to entertain first and make logical sense second. This is the purpose of making animated films, to do things that aren't exactly possible in the real world. The filmmakers are aware that this is silly, but it plays with the concept of Mulan dressing like a man to infiltrate the army, so they have men dressing like women to infiltrate the palace. So in that sense, it does make sense, especially after you literally show a scene of them trying to batter down the door and it not working.
Bow to me!
Now you want him to bow to you? Up here? With no one looking? This guy has weird f***ing goals, man. I thought he was just going to behead the Emperor on the balcony and let his head fall down into the crowd, but now we've shifted back indoors for a more personal...
Exactly. You've missed the point of Mulan. Earlier you sent a scene where Shan Yu stated the Great Wall was a challenge to his power, meaning his only goal here is a show of force and to get the Emperor to acknowledge him as his superior.
With all due respect, Your Excellency, I think I've been away from home long enough.
Yeah, because I wanted to show the world who I was on the inside, a bright and brilliant strategist with courage and strength. But now that I'm all the way here, I think I want to go home and conform to societal expectation. You know, send a real positive message to the young women out there that it's okay to dream, but once you get out in the world and it gets hard and scary, that it's just a better idea to stay home and marry the first man that pays you any goddamn attention.
And here is why I make fun of Jeremy for being an SJW. A lot of people assume an SJW is a good thing because looking out for the little guy is a good thing, right? And sure, I think that mindset is a noble one, but When you take it to the extreme like this, that's when you become an SJW. Listen to this man. He is basically saying that a woman doesn't have the right to choose her own life and should set an example for young women by doing what he thinks is best for her. If you don't see the problem with this mindset, you might just be an SJW.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Stop.